sinking funds. What page is it? Page 71. Page 71. Sinking funds. Right. What do we mean by sinking funds? Okay. In short, it means the following. If I buy a car today, okay, it's one of my grandchildren's car. Okay, I just borrowed it from them. If I buy this car today for 100,000, okay. If I want to sell this car in a year's time, I will get 100,000 minus the value that it depreciated with, perhaps 80,000. Okay. The next year I want to sell this car, I will get even less. So this car's value is depreciating all the time, okay, as it goes on. But I know I cannot drive this car forever. So say, for instance, in 5 years' time, I decide, well, I'm going to buy myself a new car. But the new car will be more than 100,000 now. Because of what? Inflation. Yeah, because of inflation and better technology. Right. So 5 years down the line, the value of this car depreciated. And the car that I want to buy at that stage, more or less the same, will be this one, okay? With some more bells and whistles to it. Okay, right, okay. So this car's value, not the value, the price to replace it will grow with inflation, okay? And this car's value will drop. So in between there's a gap now. In 5 years' time, I want to replace this car, okay? So that's what we call a sinking fund. This gap in between is a sinking fund. So if you are very clever and a very diligent accountant, you will start a sinking fund, meaning the moment you buy this car, you're going to start a sinking fund to replace the car in 5 years' time. This gap, okay. So after 5 years, you just draw the money from your savings account and voila, you got your new car. Okay. So what we see is this car's value depreciates. Okay. And the formula that we're going to use is this one over here. The top one. A equals to P 1 minus I. Okay. It depreciates. To replace this car with this one will increase as we said with inflation. Okay. So if we work with inflation, right, with these two, then we're going to use the P1 plus I. Okay, we're going to use that. Okay. And then what we do is we take the difference between these two. Say for instance, it's a 250,000 difference that I had. Then I set up a sinking fund to fill this gap with monthly installments. And that we call the sinking fund. Okay, that's what it is. So, in your worksheet that I've given you, let's fill in the gaps there. And we're going to make use of not the loan, but the annuities one, the first one that I've given to you. Okay. Right, you will see we have a circle there at the bottom, number 18. Okay, writing there, sinking fund. You done that? Let's see if I can find one quickly for you. Yeah, here's one. There it goes. Right, sinking fund. Now, there are two things that we need to remember regarding our sinking fund. Thank you. And the one on top, the block on the top is number 16. That is, you can write in there inflation. Right, you can write in inflation. And the block beneath is number 20, you can write in depreciation. Just write in depreciation. And number 22, with 21, the depreciation formula will then be this one. A equals to 1 minus I. It depreciates with that. And in block number 17, just write the other one, the 1 plus I. 1 plus I. You can actually name the one on top A1 and the one at the bottom A2. Because in block number 19, you're going to write A1 minus A2. A1 minus A2. Okay. The top one, number 17. Number 17 is the A1 and number 21 is the A2. So it just means you just subtract those two values from each other. So that is the gap that you determine there. Here we go again. The gap between these two. Okay, that is what you determine with A1 minus A2. Okay. Sorry, I cannot stop this thing. It takes its time to do whatever. Okay. Oh, thank you. Okay. Now, another block, the number 22 then, just write in the annuity. Annuity. We're going to make use of our annuity formula to determine that. And you can just jump right back to number 9. Number 9. Yeah. Right. So let's put this into practice and see how to determine a sinking fund. Okay. So we want to do monthly installments to set up our sinking fund. So if it comes to that time, then we are ready for it. But do we ever set up a sinking fund? No, we just spend the money. Hey? We just spend the money. But for a company, it's a good practice to set up a sinking fund. So you're going to be an accountant or an actuary at Old Mutual or one of these big firms. And these are guys that look into the future and say, well, guys, we need to plan for this. Okay. We don't just going to drive this car or run in this machine until it breaks and then we scratch our heads and, well, what are we going to do now? Okay. You plan ahead. And we will see there on page 71 then. The work example over there. The whole paragraph to set up a nice story and scenario and give some flavor to this boring numbers that we're going to work with. Okay. It says, a company purchased a photocopying machine of 270,000 rand. That's quite expensive, right? For a copying machine. Okay, that's not a copying machine that's on your desk or whatever. That's an industrial one because this machine needs to run 24/7, duplicating books and articles and so on. The company expects to replace this machine in 5 years' time. Okay, they know this machine will not last so long because it's running. They anticipate the cost of the machine to escalate at 16% per annum compounded interest. Okay, so to replace this machine, it will, inflation and technology and whatever, it will grow by 16% per year. Okay. They expect their present machine to have a scrap value of 100,000 in 5 years' time. So they didn't say, okay, it will depreciate with in accounting, what is the normal rate? 15%, 20%? Normally that you work with. They said, okay, the scrap value will be 100,000 rand. Okay, so after a couple of years. The company will pay a fixed monthly amount into a sinking fund, starting in 1 month's time. Okay, that is cool. Right. That is the normal thing that we need to do. No need to adjust any formulas. And will make a final payment at the end of the 5-year period. Okay, that is also fine. The interest earned on the sinking fund is 10% per annum, compounded monthly. Compounded monthly. Okay, so they set up a sinking fund as well, savings account, 10% per annum compounded monthly, where they can put in monthly installments so that after 5 years, they can fill this gap. Okay. So just once again, this machine, the company bought this machine for 270,000 rand. The value of this machine, they say, will drop in 5 years' time to 100,000. Okay, they didn't say it will be percentage-wise. They say it will just drop to 100,000 after 5 years. And the new machine, please. Thank you. Now, this new machine will increase in value. Not in this new machine, actually the one they've bought, it will increase with 16%. So this gap we need to fill with a sinking fund, with monthly installments. Okay, right. Let's do our calculations first. Okay, let's go to number 1. It says there, the cost of the determine the cost of the new machine in 5 years' time. Determine the cost of the new machine in 5 years' time. So I think I said, was it 16%? Yes. It will grow with 16%. Inflation. Okay. So we use A equals to P, 1 plus I to the power of N. Okay. We need to calculate A. The P value is 270,000. 1 plus, it is 16%, right? 0.16 per annum. Okay. Inflation is not compounded monthly or quarterly. It's yearly. In 5 years' time. I think we can calculate that quite easy. Yeah? Let's calculate that and see what we get. Five, 6, 7, 0, 9, 2, 5, 2, 5. Okay, 2.25. Right, the next question, question number 2. Determine the rate of depreciation of the old machine on the reducing balance method. Just remember, they haven't given us the rate. They just asked what is the rate. They've given us a starting value and an end value and the amount of years. So the rate is what we need to calculate. So with number 2, we're going to use our reducing balance formula. It will be 1 minus I to the power of N. Okay. If you refer back to your worksheet, you will see that is what we're going to use anyway. Okay. Right, so we do have my final value over here. They say it will reduce to 100,000. Okay. What did we start with? 270,000. Okay. 1 minus I is what we need to calculate. And it's over 5 years. Right, I think we can handle this one. So we divide left and right by 270,000. So it cancels out over there. So we have 1 minus I to the power of 5. How do we get rid of this again? Awesome. We draw the 5th root, eh? quite right. So let's write it here. 1 minus I to the power of 5. We're going to draw the fifth root of it. And we're going to do the same with this other guy. 100 over 270. And we're going to draw the fifth root as well. So we end up with 1 minus I equals 2. What is that value? 0.8? 2. Okay. Right, so we just take the 1 over to that side, and okay, it will be negative, so we can just multiply by minus 1 both sides. So we're going to end up with I equals 2. Rosemary, did you give me the answer, the final answer? No. Okay. Right. So this one will be 0.18. One minus this. 1.8. Okay. I think we need to have more decimals.
0.16.
0.16 and so on. Okay, thank you. So my interest rate will be 18.02%. Okay. So this is my depreciation rate. Okay. Right. Number 3. Determine the amount required in the sinking fund in 5 years' time. Okay. So, what do we have? Okay, let's refer back to our little worksheet. The next step what we need to do is A1 minus A2. Okay. So this value over here is my A1. Okay. And this 100,000 is my A2. They've given it to me. I even didn't need to calculate. So this is my A2. So I can say A1 minus A2. Let's say it's my sinking fund. And that is equal to, what's it? 4. 467,092,25. Okay. So that is the value in my sinking fund then. Number 4. Number 4 states, determine the value of the fixed monthly payment the company must pay into the sinking fund. Okay. So the accountant, you as accountants, made your calculations now and say, right, and now the MD asked you, okay, how much must we put in the sinking fund now? In the savings account that you suggest what we need to do. So, okay, sir, no problem. I do have my grade 12 formula ready for you. This is what we need to do. It's an annuity, sir, and we're going to make use of this formula. It's a future value, okay, equals to X 1 plus I to the power of N minus 1 over I. That is the formula that we use now. Okay. So my sinking fund that I work towards to is this one over here. Is that value. So we have 467,092,25 equals 2. The X is what we need to determine, the monthly installment of 1 plus, what was it? 10%, huh? 0.1. 0,1 compounded monthly over 12, close bracket. It is over 5 years, but it's compounded monthly, so remember to multiply by 12. Minus 1. Divided by 0,1 over 12. Here we go. Right, see if you can calculate the x value. Okay, guys, you can just check 6031, was it? Yeah. You can just check that out, and then I will see you this afternoon. Second session. Okay. Okay. Right. Please do number 1 on page 72 for homework. Page 72, exercise 4. Number 1. Okay, straightforward, just different numbers.